Hi, hello, it's me, Vic again. This is not a scheduled stream, but I decided I wanted to stream anyway, so I'm gonna stream anyways because I don't know, I'm feeling a particular way. I just normally how would I describe it as well, first of all, I'm aware I did the wrong patch number in the previous live stream for the title. I'm not gonna fix it. I'm too lazy for that. So what we got's what we're gonna get, buddies. But as it pertains to what I was said the title of this one, I sometimes I get to feeling a certain way, and a lot of the time I can kind of I can kind of staunch the flow a little bit. I wouldn't go as far as to say I hold it all inside. I do to an extent, certainly. But I mean, I have my own ways of getting out emotions, of dealing with emotions, positive and negative. Um, Still dealing. I've determined at this point it was COVID. I unfortunately got my mother sick, which was we were not trying hard enough apparently, but trying not to get her sick, and she tested herself with one of those at-home COVID tests. It was positive, and it's been almost 2 weeks now, and I'm still sick. I think it might actually be 2 weeks to the day that I've still got a sore throat. We're just gonna do some chill gathering in this while we hang out and talk about stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a little off topic repeatedly. Ooh, God, I apologize. Actually, wait, did that finish? Did the my second workshop finish? I think it might have. I just ran straight past it, didn't even pay it any mind. Yep, here we go. Don't exactly know the optimal layout for this, so I've just been kind of doing whatever. Let's see, how do I access the facilities log board? Oh, do I have to access the log board for all of them to finish construction? Do I get experience for that? But I'm distracting myself. The point is, you know, I'm feeling a certain way right now about the future of this channel, about why I decided to do this, the direction I want to take it. Like I did the Beyond Earth, right? I did Beyond Earth, and I think it was a good video. I put a lot of effort into it. If I could go back, I would change a lot about it. I'd make it shorter. I'd um I'd make it so that it's more concise. I'd make it so that it's a little more snappy. Add kind of what I'm doing with my current videos. I'm adding more visual elements to it besides, you know, the bare essence of it. So I would go back and do that with that, but I'm not going to. I find myself increasingly drawn in towards talking about VTuber stuff, and nothing wrong with that. To the contrary, um, quite to the contrary, I'd go as far as to say I think it's interesting set of topics, and I think there's maybe not as many people as I would have expected talking about it, to be certain. But regardless of that, um, I something that I find myself wanting to talk more about. But it's unfortunate because I started off YouTube in general, saying I want to make video game content, and I still would like to do that. How do I phrase this right? Um, I just it feels like it's not the same direction I want to do with a lot of the like VTuber stuff. Like I don't know, is anybody really gonna subscribe for me talking about both plummeting. Plummeting, but it's gonna be more popular? Demand shift is plummeting? That's odd. Popularity is very high. Okay, what's this? I don't know, we'll just try this out, I guess. God, I'm rambling, aren't I? I apologize. So I'm at a point where I want to do multiple things. I'm at a precipice, right? And I am standing in the real life, in the virtual life. I have a lot of choices to make, and it feels like I'm just sitting and watching them pass me by. And there's something that I told myself I wouldn't do again. That I would. God, this can't be very good to listen to between me rambling and coughing. I mean, this is more for my own sake. So, I mean, if you don't watch this, I certainly don't blame you, which is not a smart thing to say by any means, but it's something I'm going to say anyways. Because I don't know, I care about the value of the content that I am putting out. I feel like I've been researching a little bit because I've been stuck on thumbnails, right? I made my first video. I'm about 60% done with the second video. I am nearing the end of scripting the third video, and I'm feeling pretty happy about that. But there's also a problem in that I just can't think of a thumbnail. I just can't. I've got some ideas, but then I feel like, oh, I'm clickbaiting people, or oh, that's not relevant, or like, oh, I don't talk about that in the video, or oh, people aren't gonna watch that. And of course, I like you should if you want to create content. If you're going to create content, you should want to create content. Is perhaps what I mean to say here, right? If you want to create content, you should create content, and if you're going to create content, you should probably want to create content. It makes within maybe exceptions, standing for like tutorial videos or like stuff in that where you're not necessarily there's not like that emotion to it. There's not an entertaining aspect and intrinsic to that. You don't have to be entertaining for a tutorial video to be good, but you have to be entertaining. Or I mean, right now I'm not like I wouldn't say I make people laugh necessarily. I like to think I'm a pretty funny guy. I don't necessarily focus on that in my content. In my videos, definitely a little more than in my streams. In my streams, this is just kind of a chill out kind of thing we do here. But I started off wanting to make videos about games. And I find myself thinking people would be more interested in videos about VTubing, and I'm interested in making videos about VTubing. I'm not interested in making videos about VTubing. I have a lot to say on the matter. Do I care about it as much as video games? Do I feel like I'm betraying myself and the people who inspired me to get into video making if I transition into talking about VTubing? It feels like almost not a promise, because a promise is a serious thing. That's something you have to sit down and consciously think to yourself. But the unspoken goal I made to myself was I want to make video game content because I feel like there's nobody out there doing it in the way that I want to see it done. Not anymore. It's just and in my adventures since I sat down I said that to myself some, believe it or not, years ago. I think that there are more people who who do that now. I think there are some people picking up that that lantern, some people picking up that torch, you know. Can I make a raw island garnet? That might not be something I can make. Um and I'm worried to some extent that I'm not gonna want to do this. Like I'm sitting down, I'm saying, oh fuck, it's a granary expedition. Okay, well I guess I have to make a granary now. Probably looking at them from the wild. Send out a team. Collect this item the next day. Okay, so I can't make that shovel or whatever I said I was gonna make. That's unfortunate. I I think that I would enjoy making VTuber content. I mean, it's funny. I'm having this existential crisis. I haven't even I haven't even made the video, right? I haven't even put it out. And maybe part of it is me procrastinating. If I don't put out the video, nobody can dislike it. You know, it's in this perfect um it's in this perfect state where I can't. Nobody can dislike it. You know, it is a perfect video because I'm not going back and watching it at the moment. Well, I've got to make a couple edits to it because I made a mistake in it, so I have to go back and redo that. But after that, I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to do any more further work on it. It's just the thumbnail that needs to be done. And you know, once I publish it, then I have to put it to like Reddit and probably put it on Discord and um, see where else I can do with it. You know, but it's just be. I mean, there is of course a feeling that you know it's not going to be good enough. I haven't put out any videos besides the one Beyond Earth one that I thought was pretty good, and I might take down just because I don't see this is what I'm talking about, right? I don't feel like it's the focus of the channel anymore. I don't feel like it's the focus of what I want to do anymore, and I have a lot of I have a lot of subconscious. I don't know if guilt is even the right word. There's a lot of subconscious hangups about doing this. You know, about moving more into the VTuber type content. Like, how do I do VTuber stuff without moving into the drama stuff? I don't want to do the drama stuff. I don't. The drama stuff is just petty, in my opinion. I don't want to bother with that. I'm sure it's a very good way to get views. You know, use clickbait thumbnails and do drama. And I think sincerely, if I said no holds barred, no morals applied, I'm just going to I'm going to make a living off of YouTube. I'm going to become a VTuber. I'm going to become ruthless. I'm going to do this. I could do it, and I could probably make enough money based off of the numbers I've seen, based off of everything I know. I could probably within a couple of months make it some kind of a living off of this, right? If I had no morals, if I just said I need to make money off of this and that, on some subconscious level, I think there's something saying I need to make money off of this, but not so much in the sense that not so much in the sense that I want by any means to make money off of this, but more so in the sense like I need to see if this is what I want to do. Because if I don't do this, then I'm gonna be stuck forever wondering about that, and that's something even worse than trying and failing is wondering. I hate this wondering feeling. I've been wondering for years now. I've dabbled. I've made no few illusions about some past channels I may or may not have had. Right, try to break kayfabe, whatever. I mean, that's the truth. A lot of the VTubers, a lot of the content creators you've seen will have started somewhere else and taken those skills with them and used those skills make to where they are now. And it seems like they came out of nowhere, and it seems like they had a meteoric rise. It seems like they started off and were amazing at what they do. But the truth is that they weren't. They started off and they made shit content like the rest of us, like I'm probably going to make. I like to think now I'm at a point where it is watchable, at least, where it's interesting to watch, where people will want to watch it, where I think the content of what I've always had to say has been entertaining, has been interesting, has been, I don't know if thought provoking is quite the right word for it, but somewhere along that realm of worthy content, right? And I I'd like to think that I still carry that forward, but that also the production value has gone up at least a little bit. I'm sure that whoa, that's not what I meant to do. That's I have a long, long way to go in terms of production value. I'd like to eventually just hire an editor. That's not editing is not like a passion of mine. I find it interesting at times. I find it entertaining at times. I find it interesting at times. Interesting insofar as like both a negative and a positive. I guess I should make that distinction. I need clay and some copper ore. Okay. And, it's a matter of if I do like this, I mean, all these questions are like not even worth even bothering with yet, because I haven't even published the first video, but I can't stop myself from thinking it. Insofar as like, what if I do end up becoming famous and I hate it? Well, the simple question is, you'll never see me again. Rather, the simple answer to that simple question is that you'll never see me again. Right? um, what if I sign up with a corporation and I hate it? Do I sign up with my favorite corporation, or do I sign up with any corporation? These are all questions. It's like, how can I answer these questions for you if I don't know them yet? And I think the answer is I give you facts to work with, right? I give you what we know. I give you numbers. I give you statistics. But the problem with that is that requires searching somewhat, at least, into the forbidden knowledge, and that's not something that I want to dabble with entirely, because I feel like that kind of falls back into VTuber trauma. Even if you do it respectfully, I feel like that still kind of falls back into the respectful and into the trauma side of things, which maybe some people would agree with. Maybe some people would disagree with me. That I respect opinions there. I understand to some extent both sides of the argument. I think this is something that, as a medium, as a community, we'll have to look at together. We'll have to come to a consensus together. I think the consensus is so far that alluding to it in the vaguest possible manner is I wouldn't say acceptable, but not necessarily controversial, you know. People would be like, hey, maybe don't do that, but they wouldn't be the depressed Nusagi treatment for the individual, which I'm not gonna get into that here. If you don't know what that is, you can look that up yourself. I'm not gonna give my opinion on it or explain the situation. There's just so many words, so many things that so many thoughts swirling around that aren't worth even thinking about, that aren't even worth worrying about, because it doesn't matter if I can't get to that point. if what I'm creating is not worth it, like it's something that doesn't, it ends up not mattering anyways, you know? I think a lot, and to some extent, I think that's a that's a positive thing for me. To some extent, I think that's a negative thing for me, and I'm sure there are some people out there who would lean either direction. And I realize that's kind of fence sitting on the matter. But I mean, that's what the truth is, right? What was I just talking about? I'm just out of it. It's only been 18 minutes. Dear God, I'm having I'm having I'm standing at the precipice of a many paths in life, and I'm a little worried. What can I say? I'm human. I'm a little worried about the matter. I have hopes and desires and dreams, and they feel so close, but at the same time so far away. And I don't know. Maybe that's kind of a lame thing to say, or maybe that's a bit of a cheesy thing to say. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Who can really say? All I can say when it comes to that is no. Switch places. I guess we'll keep it there for now. Is that I need to get rid of this garnet rapier. Can we put something else in its place? Brick counter, limestone, palm log. Yeah, we can. We can put fire sand back here, and we'll put a brick counter. That's fine. Let's review the requisite materials for that. Just palm log. That's the one that we're missing the palm log for. Okay. I mean, ultimately, what this is just me getting my feelings out. Maybe I'll private this at some point. Maybe I'll leave it up as a mm, snapshot of my own insecurities, and maybe somebody will be able to gain something from that. Who's to say? I certainly don't know. There's a history of bipolar disorder in my family. I think it's possible I have bipolar disorder. I think it's certainly a possibility. The rest of my family has the more manic side of it. I think I probably lean more towards the depressive side of it, which I know mania is a dangerous thing. I know it very well, trust me. But I think I'd rather maybe this is the grass is greener on the other side thing, but I'd rather be manic and have aspirations than be depressive and lay in bed for like 10 hours and then go back to sleep or whatever, you know. Like it just it's not healthy to be a workaholic, but I'd rather my coping mechanism be working than like laying back in my chair watching a YouTube series because I just can't gather up the energy to do anything. I just can't gather the motivation to do anything. I'd rather have lived life having done something than sitting around having done nothing. You know, I mean, I don't think that's a controversial take by any means. It's not. No, you see it in media all the time. You know, people talking about going out with a bang or whatever. Nobody says I want to go out with a poof. Nobody wants to. I'm sure a lot of people would like to die quietly in their sleep. But even those people would like to have made an impact. They want to be surrounded by friends and family when they pass. Nobody says I want to pass alone by myself in my bed after having had no motivation for like 2 weeks. You know, being surrounded by friends and family is an aspiration. That is something to aspire to. That is something that requires energy. It requires motivation. It requires upkeep. It requires understanding. And I'd like to think I have most of those things, but I just wish I had the like energy level of a normal person. I feel like I could have maybe already like be established by now. Maybe I could have already made like 2 or 3 more videos instead of having to stop because I'm like, because I'm just exhausted. Sometimes I I think to myself like I'm glad I have the voice I do. And sometimes I think I gotta have a fucking goofy ass voice. Like I wish I had a voice. You know what I mean? You know who I'm talking about. You somebody came into your head, and well, sure, them, whoever you were thinking about. I wish I had a voice that you wanted to hear for both the quality of the things I'm saying and the quality of my voice. And I wish I had the lyrical ability. I wish I had the musical ability to put this into a song. I wish I had the programming ability to make this into a game, to make you feel the way that I do. I wish I had the ability to make a poem and make the words bounce off your head, bounce around in your head. I wish I had the the X factor to have you thinking about me. Maybe that's whatever the opposite of parasocial is. Maybe that is a parasocial relationship. Chat has a parasocial relationship with the streamer, but does the streamer have a parasocial relationship with the chat? You know, I mean, nobody would be doing that. Well, that's not true. There are plenty of people out here just for the money, but I mean, most people doing online content creation want to be wanted, right? Is that a parasocial relationship? I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I know I want to be wanted. Who doesn't want to be wanted? I'm sure there are some people who want to be not to be wanted, but I'm guarantee you it's because those people are already wanted, right? It's a grass is greener on the other side situation yet again. I just ultimately I'm in a place right now where I know that the only way to get through my feelings, to work out my feelings, is to just doing what I'm doing. Just spend more effort, do more time, get motivated, however I need to get motivated. But like I mentioned this at the start of the stream, normally I'll watch a couple clips from people uh, to help motivate me. I'm somebody who believes that quotes, like inspirational quotes, are not meaningless because that's too extreme of a word. They are not that useful. We'll put it there that inspirational quotes are just not that useful. I think speaking somebody's speaking motivationally has substantially more worth because at the end of the day, this is about expressing feelings, expressing emotions, right? That's what this is. That's what all of this is, expressing some concept that we have in our head, that the content creators have in our head, expressing some feeling, expressing some vision, expressing some part of their imagination to their viewers. And at the end of the day, I, I wish I could do that a little better. I wish I knew what to do a little better. I, I tried everything I normally do. I watched the videos as I was talking about. I listened to music. Normally that works pretty well. I drank some soda, which doesn't usually work. I'm maybe gonna go. I have like I found this really cool iced coffee at a local grocery store, and it's like a Reese's. It's by that company that does the coffee creamers. I forget their name. It's like a Reese's iced coffee type thing. It tastes pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of like making coffee. I'm a little too lazy for that. And well, I can stand the bitter taste. I'd rather have something sweet than subject myself to something bitter. But I mean, I can drink bitter. But I'm digressing. Probably do that after this and see if maybe I can hype up some kind of idea for a thumbnail, because it just feels like, even though the thumbnail is a gigantic part of a video, right? I want to make a video on creating videos as a VTuber, because I think that's a direction that this medium will take. And I think that if I do that, then I will be at the forefront of it, which is maybe a cynical way to look at it. But that's I think it'd be cool to kind of be the forerunner, a mild forerunner for that kind of a thing, and help inspire other people to do something I like to do. It's a little more than just cynical. Like, I want to be ahead of the curve. I like doing this. I like talking. I like, like as mentioned, expressing my emotions. I think that's what this is all about in the end. So I'd like to help other people do that. But again, I'm digressing. I I was hoping that maybe just doing this would make me feel a little better. Maybe give me some kind of idea for the thumbnail. Maybe give me some kind of idea for what I want to do. That I'd have not necessarily have some magical revelation, but I mean that certainly does happen. I'll be honest. I do certainly, like, sometimes just do these things and get revelations. I'm like, holy crap, that's an amazing idea. I love that. Sometimes I'm like, wow, that thing I was doing, that was a terrible idea. I can't believe I thought that was a good idea. Wasn't I gonna do something here? I guess maybe not. Greenery. I need one more palm log. I need like 4 more palm logs, don't I? So, I mean, when I say existential crises, and Final Fantasy, that's what this is. I'm just venting. I'm just speaking my mind and being open and honest. And I think that's one of my strengths. I was watching a well, this was not so much to get motivation as it was for me to as it was for me. I was looking at thumbnails. I was like, okay, well, let's see what thumbnails work for other channels. And I said, okay, well, let's take motivation from that. Let's take inspiration. What works for these other channels? And I still have no fucking clue what I want to do. I have the words. It feels like a SpongeBob meme. I have the words toxic positivity on an in progress thumbnail. That's what I have done. It feels like that fucking SpongeBob meme with the thought, what I learned in boarding school is what I learned in boarding school is. But it's like toxic positivity. What I learned about toxic positivity is. Maybe I'll come out with a real banger. Maybe people will love it. Who knows? I have good ideas for what I think would work and what doesn't work, but I don't necessarily know how to apply that to my specific videos. There was something I was saying before that. I don't particularly remember. Oh god, okay. I wish I wasn't so forgetful. Oh yeah, I think that's, I mean, a large part of the reason why one of my strong suits. It's one of the people reasons why I think people will be interested in me is because I am fairly like open and honest. I was, let's call it an interview. Was oh god. So I was applying to this thing, to this program, and I had gotten to the interview phase. There's like multiple interview phases, and I am sitting there. I have not a coach, but like a local mentor type person. And he was like, all right, so, just go in there, just be yourself, be honest, um, you know, but, at the same time, kind of tell them what they want to hear. He also may or may not have told me to uh, do some, not necessarily unsavory things, but things that I not necessarily agree. I didn't feel comfortable doing. But or that makes it sound weird, but just in terms of like being a sob story, like that kind of a thing, right? And misrepresenting myself, I guess is kind of the best way to put it. And so I get into this interview, right? He's giving me all this advice. He's looked me up and down. He said, "All right, good to go. Like go in there, kill it." And he's kind of like hanging out. He's kind of like not necessarily in the corner, but I mean this is like his job space, right? So he's doing some job stuff. He's typing away at a computer. I can tell he's listening, but I'm not paying attention to him. I'm not giving him any mind. And we get through the normal interview questions. Where do you see yourself in like 5 years? Like what are you passionate about? What are your strengths and weaknesses? And we get to the point where this guy comes up. He says, "Are you applying to any other programs?" And I say, "Yeah, I'm applying to this one other program." And um, he says, okay, so if you had a choice, if you got accepted to both of our programs, whose would you choose?" And I say, honestly, I would choose the other one. And I can like the guy, my mentor, he's not. I feel like calling him a mentor is a bit of it's a little too much for what he was. But my mentor, right? He's looking at me. I can feel his eyes. Like what the fuck? Like he's like maybe he tilted his head or something. Something about the way he was existing told me like what is this kid doing is running through his mind. I was young. I was young. If I had the chance, I'd do it again. So I tell him I choose the other program because honestly, I think it's a better choice for me. I think that I would get more out of it. They provide for me more financially, and I could always come back and take a more um, experienced role with this program because there's not really a commitment. Well, there's a commitment, but it's a mild commitment, right? Whilst this program had a very tenuous, strenuous, excuse me, commitment. So I said, there's more of a commitment here, and I think that somebody would benefit. I feel like I have a lot of, I would gain less from this program than somebody else would gain from it, and I feel that I would gain more from the other program. So I think all in all, it is a net positive for everybody if I were to take the other program. And he's like, he doesn't say anything for a couple of seconds. He's thinking on it. He's nodding his head, and I'm just, yeah. I mean, I realized that's kind of. I don't think I was this eloquent, mind you. I was in my head. That's what I wanted to say. I was probably significantly less eloquent. I was very nervous. I've gotten much better with interviews as of late. I mean, I don't think I've ever really failed an interview, as it were. I've normally when I get to the interview stage, I I like to think I can represent myself pretty well. I'm naturally just kind of polite and professional, even when I don't necessarily want to give off that impression. And so I think that certainly helps a lot. I like to think that when I get into interview mode, I am pretty eloquent, and I think that certainly helps as well. I think at an agency, I would definitely have a lot more. Excuse me, a VTuber agency, I would have a lot more difficult competition in that regards. I don't necessarily think that if I like made it to the interview stage and I was like a medium popular VTuber, I don't think it's necessarily a 100% guarantee that I got in, but I think I'd still have some pretty good chances because I think I come off pretty well in interviews. I practice a lot. I've done quite a few of them in my life. I'm can appear confident when I want to be confident, and I think all of that combined is just very good. But the main point I'm making here is after that interview was done, the guy, my mentor, was like, "What did you just tell him? Did you really just tell him that you would take the other program? Did you really just tell him that?" I was like, "I mean, yeah. I mean, I was just, it's the truth. I mean, I just, I told him the truth, and I got the interview. I got the, I had, there was another interview I had to do. I ended up turning down that program, unfortunately. In retrospect, I would not have turned down that program if I could go back and do it again. But I got into the program, and I it's a very competitive program, you know. I'm very proud of myself. I think I made a good impression, and I was just myself. I was open and honest. And I think the interviewer saw that, and he said, "We need more people like this." And I think I bring that to what I do here. I think that if people want to watch me, if the content I'm creating, it needs to be like that. I need to be open and honest, and just kind of like chill and polite, you know? Like I think that's the kind of vibes I want to give off. I think that's the kind of vibes that I vibe with. I think that's what I'm strong at. I think that's who I am. And I don't think that's necessarily tied to gaming. I don't think that's necessarily tied to being a VTuber. I think that's part of why I don't necessarily want to get into the VTubing space, because it'd be less about me. And maybe that's narcissistic a little bit, worrying less about the quality of the content and people wanting to see it, but so much as me being wanting to be a personality, me wanting to be a rock of a community, me wanting to express these emotions to you in a way that gives you something to think about, that makes you feel something that you haven't felt before, or something that you feel rarely, or something that gives you some insight into your own life. You know, I just that's the kind of content creator I want to be, and that's not tied to being a VTuber. That's not tied to making videos about VTubing. That's not tied to gaming. That's not tied to anything I'm doing. That's not. That's what I want to do. I want to make you feel something. I want to. I want to put what's in my mind into your mind. I want to share a connection, parasocial as it may be. If you were standing here before me, I'd want to talk to you about these things, and maybe maybe that's encouraging the parasociality of it all. I don't know. Maybe there's nobody here listening. There's nobody here watching me. Maybe somebody will watch this in the future and say that's kind of parasocial. That's kind of toxic. I don't. Holy shit! Is a fucking crocodile gonna catch that? Holy crap! Can I? Holy shit! You can just capture an alligator. That's beautiful. And maybe I'll inspire somebody. Maybe I'm not trying. I'm not about to cry. I'm just, my throat is really, it's giving me some trouble. COVID is a hell of a thing. It takes a lot for me to cry. This game has definitely made me cry before. A lot, even movies have trouble making me cry. But I think this has really reaffirmed what I want to be, what I want to do. It's certainly not helped me with the thumbnail, with making a compelling thumbnail. It has certainly not done that. But I feel a little bit better about doing this now, because even if I don't like this, even if it's not something I want to do in the long term, then it gives me hope. It gives me inspiration that I can find something that will allow me to share my experience with you guys, that will allow me to share some kind of creative share some kind of a creative endeavor with you that will take me in the direction I want to go with my life. The rest of it, schools, jobs, hobbies. Well, not necessarily all of my hobbies, but this is something that I want to do. That I need to at least try. And if it doesn't work in this format, if it doesn't work in this life, I want to try again in another way. If that doesn't work, I want to try again until I run out of ideas to be able to share myself with you, to share my creations with you, share my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. Maybe I'll never become popular. I'll never become famous. People will never hear what I want to tell them, and that's a possibility, and that's scary. That's scary to my bone, because that's me opening up, me giving you my everything, me pouring my heart and my fucking soul into it, and this feels so. This feels so cringe right now. Maybe we live in a post-cringe society, and maybe that doesn't mean anything, but it feels like I need to stop saying this. I need to stop saying this because I haven't even created anything. How do I have the right to tell you that this is what I want to do? That I'll try again. All of this like anime protagonist bullshit. Like I don't have the fucking right to tell you this. I can't tell you this. But the truth is, nobody's ever made anything of worth by giving into those feelings. Nobody's ever nobody's ever nobody's ever found what they were looking for by saying that their hopes and dreams were cringe. Maybe it is cringe to be saying all this before I even created the first video. I don't know. All I can say is the future before me is scary. I'm scared on so many different respects. I'm terrified at the idea of creating something, sharing that, at people not liking it, at people liking it, but I'm not able to make more, at people liking it and wanting to make more, but just not being able to for a variety of reasons, at pouring time and money and effort and my hopes and my dreams and my feelings into this, when there's no guarantee that any of this will amount to anything, when I can't, when I could be putting it into something else. I guess that's ultimately the fear, even maybe more so than like people laughing, than opening myself up and people laughing, because I can always just say that those people would have laughed at it no matter what it was, no matter how good it was. Those people would have not liked it, you know? And people will search farther to find something they don't like a lot of the time on the internet than they will for something that they do like, because they already have what they like and they're not looking for more. But people will happily say like, this sucks, you know? They'll watch for 30 seconds and say this sucks. And it's easier to dismiss that, or at least for me, it's easier to dismiss that than it is for me to put my heart and my soul out there and for it to not amount to anything, and for me to have sunken into the possibility that I could have done something else with all of that, with my everything. And I fully acknowledge I'm sounding a bit much, like his everything. Like, what does that mean? Like, what your everything? Like, really, dude? But the truth is, I don't have a lot to give right now in so many respects. Time, effort, motivation, feelings, everything. So, I mean, it's what I can do. I mean, even then, I mean, it's all I can do is get as motivated as I can, make what I can, and put it out there. This isn't initially. This talk wasn't meant to be by any means. I was kind of hoping to just spitball about thumbnails for a while and maybe get a little closer to my goal of making a usable thumbnail. I've got like 4 programs open, like 5 if you count Steam, 6 if you count Discord. Open right now. I've got Fake. I go the hi me the Fake window open. I've got my streaming software. It's 2. I've got Final Fantasy, and I've got Photoshop. Got my image editing software of choice up. And I wonder sometimes, like, I distract myself. I know that's what I'm doing. I'm distracting myself. I'll watch YouTube or a movie or TV show and say, like, okay, well, maybe a bit like when you walk away from something and come back later and maybe come up with an idea, right? But I've been doing that for so long for so many things, and it doesn't help. Maybe I should just like actually go take a walk. I took a little ride. I was hoping that would help me figure out some things more along the lines of the things I'm thinking about right now. But I was having some technical difficulties with my motor vehicle, let's say, and so I spent a lot more time worrying about that and the crash car and paramedics I saw within 5 minutes of my little ride. And that kind of embodied the not message, the majority of what I was thinking about on that ride was, death to some extent. I don't know if the person died. Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. I couldn't say for certain. I was just, thinking about the fact that we all die. That what will I have created? That kind of stuff. We don't need to get too far into that. I feel like I've been depressing enough. Maybe motivating a couple people. I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't have a viewer count up. Maybe there's somebody watching this. I certainly don't blame anyone for not responding to anything I've said. I don't think I would. But maybe somebody looking in the past, wanting to see who I am. Well, this is who I am. This is I've bared my heart. I've bared my soul to you, and I hope that it was worth something. I'm not suicidal. I don't know if maybe it's coming off that way. I certainly hope not. I feel very fortunate in that I've never really wrestled legitimately with those kind of thoughts, and I attribute it mainly to the fact that I don't feel. I've maybe mentioned this before, but I just don't feel like I feel as much as other people. which is a weird thing to say. Maybe sounds sociopathic, but I empathize with people. I I sympathize with people. I have emotions when other people have emotions. It's not a matter of like empathy or sympathy or anything along those lines. It's a matter of like the good and the bad, just everything. Maybe that's a sign of depression. I don't know. Maybe I've just been in a depressive era for the past 10 years of my life. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't have the money to get it checked, to talk to anybody about it. I don't have the money to deal with actual legitimate medical problems that I do in fact. Well, I'm about 90% certain that I have, and the ones I'm like 40 to 50% certain I may have. All I can do is push ahead and hope that everything is glued together, and that it holds glued together until I can find myself somewhere. I'm working because I need money to survive in the immediate. I don't have any family besides my mother. I don't have many friends. I am going to school because I want to put myself in a place where I can start to have those things. I am doing this because I feel like it's something I need to do for my future, for for not my future, because that makes it sound like, oh yeah, I want to make it big off of YouTube or something like that. But that's not what I mean. I mean more along the lines of what I talked about, communication, right? About ultimately what it comes down to is expressing thoughts and emotions and ideas, and I that's what I want to do. That's what I really want to do. And so that's why I'm doing this to some extent. I mean, it sounds weird, you know, like he wants to express those things, but he was gonna make a gaming channel, and he also he's gonna talk about VTubers. Like what? But it's I don't know. It's more than that. It's not just that. Like I said, I don't just want to talk about VTubers. I want to be a personality. I want to be I want to be to you what people in my life who have influenced me are to me. The people I think that like that person, like that's almost not a person. Like that's an idea. That's archetype. That's somebody who is more than a person. And I want to be more than a person. Maybe that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I remember thinking one year in math class, I think it was like middle school, in algebra or geometry or something like that. I had the thought. I another another snotty kid came up to a little snotty Robo Vic. I said, "Hey Vic, can you help me with this? Can you help explain this to me?" And I said, "Okay." So in my head, I said, "How do I think about this?" I mean, I didn't say that in my head, but I I conjured how I would think in my head, and I relayed that as best as I could via my words. And I was an eloquent little kid. I certainly like to think I was an eloquent little kid. My teachers told me, my parents told me, nationalized testing told me, and I could just never seem to have the right words to explain what they needed to do. It just didn't make any sense to anybody else. It's something that happened more than once, but on this occasion, with this kid explaining y equals mx plus b or whatever, I had the thought as a kid, I I am like that. I'm I just I don't think the same way as other people do. Maybe there's some other people out there who think the same way I do, but none of the people around me seem to, and they seem to be able to help each other, but I can't seem to be able to explain to them how this works. I can't seem to be able to formulate the thought process to explain the operations that you need to make this work. It just isn't working. Maybe it was the other kid. Maybe it was, but the amount of times attempting to explain myself as a kid to other kids, to adults, it never seemed to work. It just never seemed to get across the same idea that they would appear to be able to get across to themselves, between themselves. And so that's something I've carried with me pretty regularly through my life. I think people think of me as an intelligent person. I think from the way that I talk and the certain word choices I use and my demeanor and a lot of things about me, they think that I am an intelligent person, and I'd like to certainly think I am. But what does that matter if I can't get those concepts across? You know, what does that truly mean if it I am the only one who has them, if I'm the only one who can carry them? I don't know. I think to some extent that's why I've always wanted to do this, is to prove to myself that I can in fact do it, to gain the skills to be able to cross that communication gap. I don't think that I am on the autistic scale. I do not believe I am. I understand, to my understanding, I mean, I guess there's always the possibility that I just don't understand what I don't understand, but I feel as though I understand social cues. I understand, like, okay, this person wants me to do this, but they're not telling me that they want me to do this. I feel like I understand, like this person is happy, this person is sad, this person is suggesting that it's late and I leave, this person is suggesting that that I do this thing instead of that thing. I think this person feels this sort of feeling about me. I think that this person feels this sort of feeling about that. There's always been a certain communication gap that has existed between me and other people. And I don't think I can even begin to fathom the whether this is a symptom, whether this is the root cause, whether this is something entirely in my own head, whether I'm too in my head about it, like this is something it isn't existing, but I'm giving myself, that I am putting on myself, that I am attributing to myself, and is causing further issues? I sincerely could not say. And that's a lot of words. That's a lot of emotions. That's a lot of feelings. That's a lot of irrelevant topics to say that I want to become popular and to have good reason to. It's all just justification for that, right? But do I need justification for it? I don't know. Does it matter the reasons why I'm doing this? Does it truly matter? I think so. I think that especially given who I am, with the limited amount of energy I have, I think that giving me myself a concrete goal and weaknesses and strengths is something that is important so that I don't lose sight of why I'm doing this and give up. That's I have something to look forward to. Have I, I'm just gonna say it. I I mean everybody has somebody like this, right? But um John Total Biscuit Bain was somebody that I looked up to greatly. I mean he's the reason why I wanted to do the gaming content. When I was alluding earlier to like the promise, it was after he passed away. It was like, well, now who's gonna do this? The answer was me. I think I can do this. Maybe I can. I don't know. Maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe I could have. I don't know. But I want to impart the feelings of what I felt of who he was as a human being onto other people, on the rock he was in that community, in the little co-optional space and surrounding areas, and the amount of people he on, and the breadth and depth of guests he would talk to, of the honest but fair opinions he would give on a multitude of subjects, on the way he brought people together. I want to do that. I know I can be open and honest. I know that's a part of who I am, but I've just never been able to be that rock for people. If I can do that with viewers, I would be over the moon. If I could do that with other content creators, well, I would be absolutely ecstatic if I could be the heart, if I could bring people together. Maybe that's egotistical to say, I don't know. But even if I could just support in some way other creators, I would be I would I would have I I I don't even have the words to just describe it. I feel like it's something that I have to do, and I don't think I can begin to explain why. That's why why I when I initially watched VTubers, I said, okay, like yeah, that's cool, like that's cute. Like I like this Coco person. She's pretty wild. And then I kind of got into it a little bit more. I said, okay, well, there's like agencies and generations, and it was for me not so much the idol culture and or the streamer culture. I'm not big in like streaming culture. I'm not a big fan of streaming. I don't generally watch streams unless they're VODs, to be entirely honest with you. I I found that fellowship, right? I said, This is, to a large extent, what I want. I want to support people interested in doing the same thing as I'm doing. And then the problem became I don't have the skills to be as half as talented as any of these people. But I I applied. I mean, I applied to Hololive VN anyways. All stars. Well, I think I might have applied to Hololive as well. I mean, but this was before I even really had made anything, and I still really haven't made anything. I said I can. I want to do for these people what I see my favorite content creators doing for each other. I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to entertain people. I want to be able to do all of these things, and I can't believe I've talked for over an hour about this. I have a lot to say, I guess. I don't know, but I think that's honestly maybe even a large reason why I switched to become a VTuber. You won't be able to find, hopefully, anything I've created before. Um, some people take that as a challenge. I don't think it's bad content. I made some very poignant points and some stuff. Maybe I shouldn't be saying this. I'm not going to speak anymore on this. I think it could be bad just theoretically if I were to, like, let's say, make a community around myself or join an agency. If I join an agency, there's a pretty good chance all these VODs are going to disappear. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Because people are weird. I have no doubt that these VODs could be something used against me, but I've never said anything um incriminating. I've never said anything too bad. There's I've said some dumb things as a kid if you managed to find like some very old accounts or whatever. But I would have been a kid. And we all change. Again, it wasn't like incriminating or offensive or anything. I've always been too polite and too cognizant of the potential dangers of people online. I've been willing to go. I've been a child of the internet, so I understand how this goes. As opposed to, I feel bad for a lot of the people starting up YouTubing and not really understanding the cruelness of the internet. I was a child of that. I I understand how it works. I understand if I ever do become popular, if I ever do become an agency, especially because I don't have musical skills. I like to think I'm not a terrible singer. I haven't done enough self-reflection, enough listening to my own recordings, enough or rather recording my own singing to make that distinction. So I'm hoping to kind of supplement that a little bit with guitar playing, but I'm not making enough progress on that as I wish I would have necessarily. But I'm digressing. My point being, I have imposter syndrome now. I have no doubt I have imposter syndrome with the breadth and depth of the talent of the creators. Even the earlier generations of Hololive, you know, Holostars, a lot of them don't necessarily have like explicit talents. Of course, a lot of them do. Like, gotta look at Mori Calliope, you know, artist, singer. I think she's working on becoming an instrumentalist. I couldn't say for certain. I don't remember entirely. I think she mentioned it at some point. Um, but you know, Amelia Watson was like kind of a streamer, right? Not to get too much into past lives, but I mean, that's who she is. She's more of a streamer, like a technical, like let's just get kind of creative. Let's have some creative ideas. Let's see what we can do with the boundaries a little bit. But she doesn't necessarily have like creative skills beyond her own creativity, right? and it's like she has creative technical abilities, which is kind of a weird thing to say, but I think entirely apt. And I worry a lot about what I would, a lot about what I could do, a lot about what I would do. How much could I do? I have no doubt I could be entertaining for at least a week, which is maybe, um, uh, maybe that's putting myself down too much. Maybe that's having too much faith in my own abilities. I couldn't say, to be honest with you. I'm not operating at that level yet. Maybe I will operate at that level at some point, but I'm certainly not operating at the level right now. Maybe there's no point in even worrying about it. You know, maybe I'll get there. Maybe I'll become the person who I want to be, and pretending, in putting my best foot forward and striving to be that person. Maybe I will become that person. That's the hope, right? That's always the hope with these things. You know, you gotta fake it till you make it. You don't want to fake too much, obviously, but I'm just rambling now. I'm not saying too much. I'm procrastinating is what I'm doing at this point. I've gotten these feelings off of my chest. I've bared my soul before you. I've expressed why I want to do this. I've expressed what I have to bring to the table and where I hope to go in the future. I could say more. I could expound more on all of this. I could tell you my explicit plans and hopes for the future, where I want to be and how I plan to get there. There's a lot of things I could be saying. But I think at this point I just need to sit down. I'm going to use the restroom. That is something that has been causing me an issue for the past like 2-3 minutes. I'm going to make myself some iced coffee. Maybe get some food. I am going to watch a YouTube video, and then I'm gonna create something. I don't know I don't know if I'm gonna make a thumbnail. If I'm gonna finally fucking finish that thumbnail so I can upload this video, or if I'm going to work on the video, or if I'm gonna work on a script. Who knows? I certainly don't. I'm gonna play it by ear. But in any situation, I appreciate the fact that you've listened to me ramble, that I've offered you this part of me and you've taken it. And again, I don't know what it is about Final Fantasy resource gathering that makes me be so reflective. But you know, the last Final Fantasy stream I had where I talked about towards the end, I appreciate you being here, or even just appreciate you coming back and seeing who I am now. If you're interested, if you're watching me in the future, you know, and you're like, who is Vic in the past? Well, this is who I am, and I appreciate you seeing me and this part of me to you and taking it. Whether what you do with it from there, whether you leave me a mean comment or leave me a sympathetic comment, or don't do anything with it, or maybe you think about it a couple days from now and maybe it changes the way you look at something. I don't know. I can't. I can't ask you to do anything with it. The only thing I can do is have my hand out and hope that it changes you in some way, that it does something for you, that it evokes some kind of emotion, whether that's disgust, whether that's anger, whether that's cringe, whether that's sadness, sympathy, self-reflection. I just I I hope you have a nice day. This has been Vic, your friendly local robo nerd. Stream on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 10 p.m. Central. This has been a bit of an unplanned stream.